Welcome to As Above.
So below,
I am Keisha Lee, the Psychic Yogi.
and I am Sydney Rich, and this is the new moon in Pisces, the last new moon of the zodiac season. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. And before we get into eclipse season, it really is a new beginning, and I think it's really cool that it's on daylight savings. So we have this very visual thing going on over here of a new beginning, a new start, a new chapter. We got our sun back, thank the Lord. Okay, my Leo rising has really been hurting. Okay, so it feels like a new start. It really genuinely does, and it's exciting. It feels like expansive too. On top of that, so I like that idea too, because Pisces is mutable, right? So it's got this ability to be flexible and like stretch and grow and change and do all those things, where it's not stuck. It's not like you have to do it like this and this is how things have to be. So that flexibility with this energy too feels really good. It's also a highly spiritual sign, the most, I would say it's originally ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter rules over religion, philosophy, knowledge, learning, spirituality. And so as its original ruler of Pisces, this is kind of the birth, of spirituality, of that in-between space. It's also, today is the first day of Ramadan, and that's obviously highly spiritual and religious as well. So I think it's really cool that all those things are happening today. It's also the 10th, which is numerologically endings and new beginnings. So that's pretty crazy. I don't know what the universe is doing right now, but it's really lining things up, y'all. So I'm going to take that as a note that we really are in a new beginning, in a new start, a new energy, a new era. And with that Pisces, you guys may have had some crazy dreams. I was just telling Keisha, it was like a weird dream, but it was very distinct with what I was learning from it, right? I came away with very clear emotions, which is the best way to do dream analysis, is to just pay attention to how you feel when you wake up from a dream. And that ultimately is kind of the lesson that you're getting. Obviously, you can look into the symbols that you're experiencing in the dream as well, and that can help, but it really is also really connected to that emotionality behind the dream. So that was my morning, and so you guys may have also experienced some profound dreams or visions. Even you might have dreamed some things. It's this super kind of like magical, I don't want to use the word magic, spiritual. That's what it is. It's like things that we can't understand, but we know are working through us, is this new moon. And another weird thing I did this weekend, which was so aligned with this energy, is I watched this YouTube movie on people that have died and come back to life. Very Pisces, right? Because it's talking about transitioning from our earthly realm into the spiritual realm. Like that is that mutable energy where you're going from one form to another, one way of being to another, that transformation, but from the physical to the spiritual, right? And it was such an interesting movie. It was just people's encounters of their experiences dying. And what's interesting is people with different belief systems, they kind of encountered the same things, but in a different way. And it's all based on this idea of like meeting light, meeting God, right? Everyone had the same, like they met this light energy. And so when I think of Pisces season and like this new moon, it just brings us really close to our spirituality, to our essence, to who we are. We're souls first and always, and we're just here taking a little trip, right? And the other thing that was really cool about everybody in that movies what's the word I'm looking for? Recounting of their experience, is that they were like, once they were on the other side, they were good. They were like, I feel amazing. I feel so much love. I feel so much light. I have no interest in going back into the earthly realm. Can I stay here? I don't want to leave. And I think that's a cool thing to understand about what we're doing here. We really are here to be doing this kind of human work. And it isn't as fun as maybe we think it should be or how we'd like it to be, but that's not really the point, right? Like we will be living our best lives, quote unquote, when we transition, right? We'll have plenty of peace, we'll have plenty of all the things that feel good and high vibe. But when we're here, we're in this place of contemplating that with this Pisces energy, but also understanding that how do we integrate that into our existence here? And what are we, how does that give us our guidance? How does that give us our understanding of our purpose and our path and what we're doing here and why we're here? And so I really think this new moon feels really special. I kind of I'm feeling emotional, which makes a lot of sense too. Pisces, water. I feel like everything really does have these meanings. There's nothing that we're doing that doesn't matter or isn't for us or isn't put in our path or isn't here to help us and to help us grow and expand and evolve and get closer to our higher self. Like everything that we're doing is part of this journey and it's not on accident. And at the same time, we have so much grace and love from God, from spirit, from source, that we have to remember that we're just human. And so we have to give ourselves that space to be flexible, to be understanding and not hold on to stuff, which goes to this ending of this zodiac season. It's a release of whatever we've been holding on to or whatever we've been dealing with or feeling like we couldn't conquer or it's been such a big deal or whatever. Like everything ends. That's just what it is. Nothing stays the same. Everything comes to an end. There's always going to be a new beginning, even in our journeys as humans to the spiritual world. So this new moon, I would say, just really allow yourself to be okay with releasing, even though it's not a full moon, it's a new moon. So we're starting with this new, fresh, fertile ground, but it's okay to start to dream about your future in a way that maybe you didn't think you could, or maybe, you've been so worried about this, that, and the third that it's clouding your vision for where you're trying to go. Maybe you're feeling more empowered to know that, change is inevitable. And so you can dream bigger. Like this year that we're going into, it can be a completely different year. And that's exciting. It just feels like I just feel really emotional right now. I don't know why I feel so emotional. Like I literally could cry. But I just think it's because life is not, we don't know what our life is going to be. And we just have to allow ourselves to go with the flow. And that is the magic. That is the point. And so let this new moon gives you space to dream a new dream, be a different person, change your mind completely. Maybe you don't even recognize who you were last Pisces season. Like that's awesome. That's the point. That's the point. And when you see people that aren't doing that growth or aren't able to let go of things and aren't able to be flexible and aren't able to know that nothing is set in stone and everything is always changing, don't let that be your guide for yourself, because that is stagnancy. That is ego energy that's stuck. And this is a time for you and all of us to be able to move freely with abandonment, with a sense of purpose, but also a knowing that, like, who knows, right? We could find our purpose tomorrow and it could be completely different from what we've been doing. Or we can find this stepped up, evolved version of what we've been doing. And that's really cool. And that's really impactful, I think, for us as people, because I think I've been so frustrated over this past year because I've been more in this Pisces energy or my spiritual space, and understanding that some of the stuff that we talk about and care about just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that we are in love and in light and doing the work to get to that space so we can be more of that. That's why we're doing the work, so we can be more in light and in love. And so when we do the work and we integrate these lessons, we're able to be lighter. It's not about becoming heavier. It's not about becoming more serious necessarily. It's about becoming lighter, ascending, like, right? Like, I get it. Like, I don't have to be down here in these like heavy, you know, weird, trapped kind of energy, because the world is shifting. I believe that, but it's not necessarily shifting as quickly as people in this container are, or people that are doing the work are. But we just have to remember that that's our work. That's what we're here to do. We're here to do that spiritual work so that everybody can start to feel that shift and that change, because nothing is set in stone. And we have a whole new world to encounter. So don't know where that came from or what I was. I feel really weird right now. I'm going to tell you that much. It's so weird. Like, get out of here. That's crazy. The high priestess. So there's that spiritual connection, that intuitive space of Pisces energy. My face is like red because I'm so warm. And I realize, like, when I channel messages or energy or whatever, that is what happens. And that's why I feel so weird right now. And I'm sorry that I'm having this, like, I really feel really weird and I want to freaking cry. I'm trying to hold it together. Okay. So this high priestess energy is that intuitive, knowing, understanding, listening to. She actually came up reverse. So it's literally this veil being lifted. All right. You're seeing clearly all the options, 7 of Cups, that are there for you to take, right? You can change your mind. You can say, I don't like that cup anymore. You know, this feels better. You can change your mind from that. And then we have the Ace of Pentacles, which is a new beginning, you know, planting that seed. And you can plant so many seeds. You can have so many different flowers in your garden. It doesn't have to be the same. But this is giving you an opportunity to start a new plant, a new seed, a new vision, a new journey, a new quest, a new you. And then the Death card. Classic, transition, change, transformation, evolution, growth. That understanding that there is life after death in the literal and the figurative. So when something ends, something new always begins. Death is also rebirth energy. So what a cool pool. The options are endless. Start a new beginning. Continue what you've learned, but know that you're still able to start in new energy. and kind of just see through the bullshit, see through any limitations that you might feel. Because that's why the veil is lifted. You see now. You can do everything. There is infinite possibilities. There's infinite everything. And so don't feel restricted and don't feel anxious about change. Feel excited about change. And I think that's why I talked about that death movie I was watching, people dying, life after death, they're coming back. It's because fear is always often associated with death. In actuality, every person that I watched on that show, and if you read, or there's plenty of books about it too, it's always the same. There is no fear there. So we stop ourselves from rebirth, even in our own lives, because of fear. And that is not, it's not even, it doesn't even exist in death. So why should we let it hold on to us so hardcore in life? So
Hmm. Touched on some good stuff there. Let's see where I'm gonna pick up on this. So Pisces energy, it is a very spiritual sign. I didn't recognize the whole stuff with Jupiter and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's cool. And it's very interesting because for me, this whole Pisces season has been about death as well as rebirth, and soul transformation. Now, granted, I've been in this particular coaching program that has been Harvard research, science backed, and all that sort of stuff to cause or to bring about deep transformational, irreversible changes. And since I've been doing that work, it's like I'm noticing that shift in a way that's so tangible, right, within me. It's almost like you were talking about, Sydney, how you felt weird a little bit. And I noticed yesterday I was on this hydro massage bed and I was like, why do I feel weird? Like my skin feels itchy. I was like, is it the energy of like whoever might have like laid here in the hydro bed before me? So let me ground out the hydro bed, let me ground out the room and all that. And what came to me is like, why does my skin feel itchy? It's because it's like literally I'm shedding old skin, but I was feeling it on an energetic level. Now, obviously, on a cellular level, when we take showers and just on a daily basis, right, our skin, the cells regenerate. So there is a shedding of our physical cells. But this was our physical skin. But at the same time, it was like this is more of like an energetic spiritual shedding of my skin of who I used to be, and my soul is now coming through in a way that is the rebirth. And I was like, wow, this is like so transformational or soul transformational. But this is what this particular methodology is all about. It's about being able to recognize your deeper yearnings and where you're living on a regular basis is creating the way you're living on a regular basis, creating a gap between that which you truly desire on a soul level and what you think you have to do, mentally or just, what do you call it? Mentally, or what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, like what you feel like you have to do, not just mentally, but out of, societal norms, gender norms, family, culture, generational stuff, ancestral stuff, how you should be and what you think you should do, and how all that is basically imprints. They're all basically imprints on our subconscious mind. And I was looking, this other account that I follow on social media talks about emotional release, right? And how a lot of times our fears that we have aren't even our own. They don't even come from our childhood. They come from us when we were in the womb of our mother, and the emotions the that our mother was experiencing, because we're being fed, like we're coming into this world with a complete clean slate, right? Coming into this world pure, and to some degree, on a physical level, our soul has its own mission, its own history and experiences, and in spiritual texts they call it samskaras, which is basically like the lessons, the karma that your soul has experienced coming into this world. But on a actual physical, on a cellular level, while we're in the womb, our mothers, what they're experiencing, we know that certain thoughts, certain feelings creates a physiological and biological change within our own being. So of course, us in the womb, in this watery realm, are going to also have that imprinting. And water is a very programmable energy. So the things that you think, the things that you feel, all of those aren't all yours. A lot of those actually came from what your mother might have been experiencing in the womb. And it when I thought about that, it made me cry. Oh, here you we're very, very in line with Pisces energy. But it made me cry because it made me realize a lot of my fears about abandonment, about rejection, um, a sense of belonging. Um, a lot of that probably came from actually my mother because she was the middle child out of 7, born right after the Korean War. So, like culturally, there's like and globally, there's just a whole big mess going on. But then to be the middle child, and having that type of archetype, and also being the only one to marry and have a child that was of mixed race within her family, I was like, oh my gosh, I could only imagine being, back in my mom was born in 49. She had me when she was 30. So, like, like in 1980s, I could only imagine being a Korean woman and being with a black man that was also younger and having a child that's half black versus ideally if you were going to be having a biracial child, it would have been preferred for it to be half white. So I'm like, I could only imagine what my mom might have been feeling. And I was like, oh my gosh. So from that perspective, I'm like, wow, some of the stuff that I've been carrying is feeling like I don't belong here or not feeling accepted, my rejection and abandonment issues. I'm like, some of that, and it made me have so much more compassion for my mother. And like, sorry, but like the grace that I could offer her, and so since then, it's just helped me to see my mother from a different perspective, but to also see myself right from a different perspective. And so it's interesting how when we allow ourselves to really step back and be more aligned or in tune with our higher self, like that high priestess energy, that intuitive aspect, that wise aspect of ourselves, and seeing things like from a bigger picture, realizing it's not about all this little shit that we think it's about. It's bigger than that. And seeing that helps us to really understand who we are while we're here on a deeper, more soul level. And it's kind of funny because ever since doing this particular coaching program, obviously we have to transform ourselves, right? So that we embody what it is that we are actually experiencing and trying to share and coach others through. And I was talking to a student of mine the other day, a client, sorry, and she was saying, she was like, yeah, I can tell the way you do seem different. She was like, your energy is more potent, and I could tell that you really embody this and you had the experience because you're able to be more articulate with what it is that you're talking about, with what it is that you're sharing. She was like, I noticed that. She was like, I always come to you because after a Reiki session, I feel energetically lighter, and I noticed that's one of the things that a lot of my clients end up saying when I ask like, how was your session? They always say, I feel lighter. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's kind of cool that, something I'm passionate about, something I love helps other people to feel lighter. But also she was like, your energy though this time feels lighter. And I was like, cool, I do feel lighter because I've been able to let go of all the illusions that no longer serve me. I've been able to step into and rebirth myself into a new way of being, not just on a metaphorical level, but on like a level that's visceral. Like I feel that change from within me. And it's very it makes sense because during this whole time of Pisces season, I've been having more vivid dreams, and my intuition has been as if, I was already intuitive AF, but I was just like now like even more. I didn't know that I could be more intuitive, but just more having more conviction in what it is that I know, what it is that I feel, what it is that I see and sense, and not having that doubt or second guessing myself. And it made me think about the first reading that I ever had when I started my spiritual awakening. I had posted on Threads, but I was talking about how my first ever reading, I had just started out with my spiritual journey. I was like 28 years old and I was cutting hair at the time. And a client of mine, I was like, first, there was like two, three haircuts. I was like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, why? What's up?" And I was like, Seems a little off." He was like, "Well, I'm a little tired, today or whatever. I've been busy at work." And I was like, "Mm, okay." But the second time he came in, I was like, "Yeah, you seem a little off again." And he was like, "Well, I feel great today, I think." I was like, "Nah, something." So anyways, the third haircut, he came in and he he said he felt fine, but he was about to go have a physical that year. It's like, okay. And then I didn't see him for a while. And when he came back, he had lost weight. His color was a little more pale. And he said that he's like, the crazy thing is, the last time I saw you, you said that the last three times something was off. And I ended up having my physical. He was like, and they ended up sending me like to ER because of some sort of something that they found in my physical that they're like, you literally, we're surprised you're alive right now. And he was like, "What?" And so that was a very transformational moment for him. And he said it was just interesting. He kept asking me, like, what do you think about what the diagnosis was and all this? I'm like, dude, I'm just a barber right now. I don't, he's like, yes, but you've been telling me for months now because he came and got a haircut monthly. He was like, at least 3, 4 months you've been telling me something's not right. He was like, I just want to keep seeing what you pick up at this point. And I said, well, he's like, do you think I'm going to die? And I said, yeah, I'm pretty certain you're going to die one day. I can vouch for that. Death has a 100% success rate. Um, and he was like, "No, do you think I'm going?" He chuckled and he was like, "Well, do you think I'm going to die from this disease?" And I was like, "Dude, I was like, I really don't want to answer this question, but I was like, ugh, what I'm getting, tapping into my intuition, right? I was like, you're not gonna die from this disease, but I feel like there's gonna be some sort of like respiratory, some sort of like residual health issue that you're gonna have to kind of manage after this disease and passes or is cured or whatever. And he said, okay. He was like, I'll take that. If it's, he was like you said, I'm gonna die one day. If it's on a Tuesday versus a Friday, what's the difference? I was like, okay, cool. And so, anyways, long story short, he came in his next haircut. Now we're like 6 months in or something. He came in this last haircut and he had gained weight again, like a healthy weight. His color, his life force energy, you could tell was back. I was like, I don't feel like anything's off. And he said, yeah. He was like, whatever the disease is, apparently it's some sort of, that's what it was. It was a virus. He got a virus from Asia. And I told him it was something that I feel like he ate, not like worms but it's some sort of parasite. That's what it was. I'm proud of myself for remembering. But yes, so anyways, he had contacted some sort of virus. I forgot where he was, somewhere in Asia, that he was eating. I felt like he had ate something and got some sort of virus, and that's for sure what it was. The doctors confirmed that. And so that's why he kept asking me, what do you know? What do you see? Because you told me what you saw before the doctors told me I had some virus from Asia and stuff from my travels. Okay, so that's where that comes in. Anyways, and so I was like, whoa, this is blowing my mind. And anyways, I he said that had the parasite had been cleansed or released from his body or whatever. And but he has sleep apnea. So that'll be something, the health issue that he would have to manage since. And I was like, wow. And I saw this like flash of green light, which at the time I'm like, there's no green lights here in the salon. But to me, I was doing like studies with angels and stuff, and it was Archangel Raphael, who works with physical healing. And so that was like one of the most profound experiences, spiritual experiences I had. And I've just had other, like ever since then, I started to learn to trust my intuition, to trust in my relationship to spirit, and also trust in myself, right? And that ability to be a tool, a vessel of divination. And I always talk about in our meditations on Patreon how your body is a tool of divination. We are instruments of divination. And to touch base on what Sydney was saying, as far as being like a soul having a human experience, we are also humans having a soul experience, right? As above, so below. So as below, so above. And so it's one of those things where I ended up grabbing this book that's here on my bookshelf called Many Lives, Many Masters by Brian Wise. And the reason why I pulled this book is because it's about a prominent psychiatrist, his young patient, and the past life therapy that changed both their lives. Now, one thing as far as my spiritual gifts, when they started evolving, I became attuned to the gift of mediumship. And it was just weird because I would do readings and I would start to see or feel and sense people that were on the other side. And what people thought, like I had read for people who, one lady, her husband had committed suicide. And I was just like, well, I was like, you know what? I feel like every time I did mediumship, I could see like a quote unquote stairway to heaven. And it was very weird because I was like, okay, I don't know where the stairs are, but I can see literally, oh, stairway to heaven. And I was telling Sydney about a dream that I had where I was on a staircase going up and ascending. Okay, interesting that how that came full circle just now. But anyways, um, so yeah, so in the what was I talking about? Oh, in the mediumship readings that I've done, I'll notice that some people they'll cross over and sometimes they'll still have certain physical issues. And that's how I can kind of tap into what they might have suffered from here, Earth side. And people are like, yeah, they actually did have, health issues or heart stuff or whatever going on. Like, that's crazy that you know that. I'm like, yeah, me too. I don't know how to know. But it was another time where I would see, for instance, the lady that got a reading for me because her husband committed suicide. I was like, actually, I notice a lot of times when souls cross over to the other side, there are different dimensions. I've seen souls through mediumship where there was a heavier, what I call purgatory. It's like a deeper, a heavier energy. But majority of people, when I find they cross over to the other side, they are, they appear in more health and vitality. So even if it was like someone's 89-year-old, grandmother or something, she might, from a mediumship perspective, come through as like when she was in her prime in her 30s, her 40s or something. And I'll see that. And they're lighter. Most of the time, they're more happier, they're freer, they're more joyful. And on top of that, when we tap into learning how to honor and access those souls or spirits and our ancestors and friends and loved ones who have crossed over on the other side and we recognize that they are in a better place, they also have more resources, right? They have more access to higher levels of consciousness, ways of being, and energy, and things like that that can be gifted to us to help us move. So now we have this relationship as above, so below, because we're experiencing that soul connection. And so, like, it's like love, they say like grief is love with nowhere to go, but it's like one of those things where love never dies, it can only be transformed. And to me, as someone who has done mediumship readings as well as past life readings, I notice that anytime there's been some sort of death as we perceive it, no matter how tragic it is, here in the physical earthly realm, on the spiritual side, I don't want to say it's not that bad, but it really isn't that bad. There's been times where I've noticed, like for instance, last night I was very passionate watching one of my Palestinian friends' stories, and I'm just like, I just can't, on a human level, I just don't get it. I don't understand how this is even happening. Okay. What's going on over there, Sudan and, Congo and Gaza and stuff. I'm like, I can't even, on a humanitarian level, I don't get it at all. Like it makes me angry, frustrated. It just is mind boggling. I don't get it. From a spiritual level though, when I recognize that some of these souls, yes, my little sparks behind me. How did that happen? Oh, okay. Oh, I was like, oh, look at me, it's glittering. But what I realized, because my eyes are closed, and I look, and all of a sudden, I'm like, why am I dark, and why is there glitter? So yeah, I realized that um, on a soul level, like, yes, it is very confusing and disheartening to see young children and babies and infants like not even have a chance at life. However, from a spiritual perspective, this is just my perspective, people might agree, they might not. But yes, they're infants here, but their soul from someone, like I said, of this mediumship past life, their souls have been here before. You know what I'm saying? Their souls have been here before and they came into this world to experience that, to show and uplift humanity that we can't keep doing this. We can't keep the atrocities that we're seeing. We have, in order to get our attention, it has to be that vivid. It has to be that gruesome. It has to be that like undeniably like in our face. Like this is not the collective consciousness that's going to help us ascend to 5D. The shit is this, it can't, excuse me, it can't fucking happen like this. And so with that being said, in order for us to bring and that awareness and to have that profound shift on a collective soul level, it has to be something just so chaotic, something so just um disparaging, something that is just so like, I can't believe this, because it causes us to, or it invokes this deep sense of compassion, right? And like we just like people wanting to come together, right? It brings that soul collective energy, and to me that's very Piscean in the most fundamental, in your face way, bridging that gap between the spiritual and what we see here in the physical. Yes, it sucks to have to see that as on a human level, but on a spiritual level, these young souls, or not young souls, a lot of them are evolved old souls, but what we perceive as these young souls, they have literally came into this world to be a catalyst for collective conscious shift. And so, yeah, we can honor those lives, honor those souls by making sure we do the work, spreading that light, spreading our love, spreading that compassion. Then I think that will help us to ascend and to also transcend the old and give ourselves a rebirth into a new dimension, a new paradigm, a new reality as humanity. So, whew.
Such facts.
Thank you. And if anybody wants to check out this book, I highly recommend it once again. Many Lives, Many Masters
Yeah,
by Brian Wise.
it's a good
It's
one.
a Yeah, it's a pretty dope book. As far, especially because as a medium and someone that does past life readings, the stuff he talks about in that book, I would see and experience in past life readings on behalf of clients. And it wasn't until like, I don't know, a whole decade later almost that I read this book and I was like, holy crap. The stuff he
Mhm.
talks about in this book and the stuff a client describes are things I experienced. And I thought it was just me. I didn't know that this was like a thing.
Right. And that's exactly what I was going to say when you're talking. Literally everything that you're saying is literally what every medium says, what every person that has that ability says. So it is a consistency across the board. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And so that's how you know the validity, because the validity is testing something over and over again,
Hmm.
getting this result, getting this result. It is the same. I'm obsessed with Teresa Caputo, okay? I watch the Long Island Medium and her other new show, Raising Spirits, all the time. She says the same exact things. She has
Hmm.
the same exact experience as when a soul comes through. She can feel how
Hmm.
they transition. She knows what happened. And
Hmm.
so it's like all of that. And then there's this new YouTube channel called Next Level Soul. Highly recommend for everybody here.
Okay.
He interviews the coolest people. They're usually mediums, they're usually psychics. He's a great interviewer too. Um, Next Level Soul is what it's called. But yeah, and that's the thing. Like that, it's just so fun. And I say fun for real because it's like, wow, we really have answers. When people are like, I want answers, they're there. You
Get
just
them
have
right.
to
Go get
allow
them.
yourself to receive them. Yeah, they're there. Like we know what happens, quote unquote, when we die. Ask a medium. Like if we're not in this question marky space, like we have answers. So it's just very interesting and it's very cool. And I love it. I think it's just the coolest, most awesomest thing ever. And one day my mediumship's gonna get stronger. So,
Virgo season is what I heard.
ooh, I'll take it because I've been
Yeah.
asking.
I think it'll be around that's what I just got a download when you said that. I was like, like, oh, I heard answers. We said answers. Ask and you shall receive. So yeah, I heard Virgo season around the Pisces full moon is when you're that will be what I guess amplified is the word that just came to me. And I
Oh,
saw like
very
a
good.
I saw my third eye and it was like opening up, expanding and so
Just got a chill.
yeah.
It was so cool. Okay, so you see this fun conversation and downloads and channeled energy messages. We're gonna have more of this with meditation, but only if you join the Patreon. We're birthing new dreams and birthing new realities as well for ourselves and Arcana. So just continue to stay up to date with us and follow us. And Keisha has her services she provides. My tarot services are always available. So, just the answers are there. The tools are there. The people are there to translate the things for yourself. You have the answers within you. So love it. We'll see you guys for the Aries Astro Reiki.
Mhm.